of groups that are primarily comprised of people who really know AI. And I talked about that feature of Notebook LLM and described it in a way that was really popular among people who know what they were talking about. I said it is both an example of the power and the peril, because I love the idea of being able to include written content in different ways. But it's also kind of freaky and gross to hear, two affluent white people from Brooklyn or Seattle using my words that way.
Yeah.
And it was very clear to me that nobody on the Notebook LLM team has hugged anybody named Keisha this year.
Or even spoken to somebody named Keisha.
Or know
let
anybody.
Alone lucky.
Or maybe don't even know anybody named Keisha, and that's a problem.
And
that's a problem. Because if you had, or if Keisha had been on the team, you would never have released that with just that voice. It's not that hard to do too. You would have given an option.
If you sent Keisha the link and said, "Hey, give this a listen. What should we do here?"
Exactly. So
I want Charlemagne the God and that other girl's voice from his show. I can't remember
that's
something
funny.
Envy.
Oh, DJ Envy is the other dude, and then I know you're talking about she's like a comedian, but she's on maternity leave.
Yeah,
I haven't really listened to his show, and I know all that, but yeah, random.
Yeah, man. All right, well let me get my other little camera set up here, and let's dive in. Give me
today.
What's up?
I was asking Robert McDonald how he's doing today.
I'm doing well.
Other than showing off the impressive legs, but
those were quite impressive. I was like, wow, this brother right here. Okay. He's got some of that 5th or 6th generation slave muscle. That brother there, man, he ain't playing with you. All right. Oh man. Yeah, we gotta have some more conversation on the chat about the shenanigans that I witnessed last night. Oh my goodness. These brothers. Good night though. Good night. Hold on 1 second, Jeff. Give me 1 second.
No problem.
What is going on?
Brian, it was great to meet your dean in Cambridge.
All right, let's go ahead. See if I can get multiple.
Willis, can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine. I'm just trying to get my trying to fix my little camera setup here so when it's my turn I can do what I do.
Brian.
All right. All right, let's rock and roll, man. I am going. Hey, what's up, Tracy? How's my audio? Am I good?
You're good. Brian, do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right.
One more thing.
Hey, Tracy. I don't hear you, Tracy, if I'm supposed to, just so you know. Brian, I was saying it was good to meet your dean.
Thank you. I'm glad y'all got a chance to connect because on she and I's 30-second debrief, Um, she's in love.
Oh, okay.
So thank you.
Okay. That might be a problem.
Might be a little conflict.
Might be a problem. But
Yeah.
I enjoyed meeting you.
Test.
Just keep it in Boston. Hey, Tracy, we hear you.
Hey.
How you doing?
Good. Can you hear me now?
Grazie.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Oh, okay, great.
I think we're good. I don't hear any background feedback. I don't hear anything weird. So I think we're good. The one thing I would ask is the music that I'm playing in the background really loud? I'm just curious. I'm
No.
gonna cut it off though.
No.
No, it's fine.
All right. Well,
Brexit, good to see you.
Yeah, I saw you from across the room, but good to see you.
Did I miss you completely in Cambridge?
Yeah, I was running back and forth between the business school and the big reunion, and so catch as catch can.
All right. I'm gonna just have to come and see you in LA at some point then.
There you go.
We'll just have to do that.
Get it done. Hello, everybody else.
Hello, hello.
Hey.
Good to see you all.
Here.
all right. So the format will be Tracy will follow Jeff, and then I'll follow Tracy. All righty. I think we're good.
Okay. Well,
I will
thank you.
highlight Jeff. Go ahead and
Thank you all for joining this morning's reflection. As usual, mine is grounded in the African American sermonic tradition while making absolutely zero claim to any calling of any kind. Rather, I invite you to think of me as evidence that the rocks will soon start to cry out. The title I chose this week after some conversations with Willis is The Gift of Surplus, Ache, Wealth, and Generational Freedom. I took as a scriptural text this week Proverbs 13:22, and as ever, I quote from the King James Version of the Bible because I love its poetry. A good man leaveth an inheritance to his children's children, and the wealth of the sinner is laid up for the just. I also chose an artistic text, which tends to happen if you communicate with Willis Walker over much. And I chose Kendrick Lamar's Money Trees, especially the line, "Money trees is the perfect place for shade, and that's just how I feel." As you can probably guess, we're gathered today to talk about wealth. Not just the wealth we see in bank accounts and property, but wealth that reaches deeper. Proverbs tells us a good man leaveth an inheritance to his children's children. This is a command, a directive from our ancestors through scripture that the work we do today is not simply for our survival, but for the flourishing of generations yet to come. And in Kendrick's words, money trees is the perfect place for shade. Kendrick speaks to the reality of our world, that money provides shelter, gives us security from the harshness of life. But let's be clear, while wealth offers shade, the shade is temporary unless we build the kind of legacy that outlives us. Today, I want to explore the moral obligation, and I do think of it as a moral obligation, we have to build wealth for ourselves, for our families, and for our community. This is not a call to escape hardship for our own comfort, but a call to extend our ache, our power, our influence far into the future. We have discussed a bit before that we are living in a time of crisis, especially as relates to Black men and boys. The challenges we face are in some ways really unlike that of any generation before us. For too long, society has taught us that our value, especially as men, is rooted in our physical prowess, our strength to protect, our power to assert ourselves and our sexuality, and our ability to provide physical safety for our women and children. In past generations, this was at the core of what it meant to be a man. But today the world has changed. Physical strength and power, which once defined masculinity, frankly have less market value than they did in our fathers' and our grandfathers' times. We are seeing Black women regularly out-earning Black men, not because they are taking opportunities from us, but because of their outsized academic success and the financial rewards that naturally follow from it. Black women are thriving in educational institutions, and that success is translating into economic gains that many of us are struggling to match. In fact, the urge to demonstrate dominance by asserting our will, or indeed inserting ourselves into as many situations as possible, is increasingly described as toxic and something that society should be protected from. This shift in what it means to be a man has left many of us feeling disoriented. The old model of masculinity no longer provides the path to success and relevance the way it once did, and so we find ourselves at a crossroads, needing a new model of manhood. The model I've been most attracted to recently is that most effectively asserted by an NYU marketing professor named Scott Galloway. Galloway sees surplus as the new measure of masculinity. He teaches that manhood is no longer simply about survival or self-sufficiency, but about the capacity to generate surplus that we can use to uplift those around us. According to Galloway, before a man can contribute to society, relationships, or family, he needs to reach a point of stability and security in his own life. Without this, he believes men often experience a loss of confidence, even a loss of purpose, which can lead to negative social outcomes like anger and resentment and isolation. Galloway suggests that masculinity should be framed as the process of first becoming self-sufficient and then producing a surplus in wealth, in skills, in emotional strength that can be shared with others, particularly with family and community. That surplus is the source of the wealth I think we should pass on. So again, back to the text, a good man leaveth an inheritance to his children's children. You know, Proverbs would seem to agree with Galloway's idea, in as much as it does not suggest that we live merely for the present or focus solely on spiritual wealth. It commands us to leave an inheritance. And not just for our children, but for our children's children. Now, when this scripture tends to show up in the Black sermonic tradition, it nearly always goes directly into, but this is not about filthy lucre. This is about spiritual and moral inheritance. Or it precedes a really crass solicitation to buy the preacher a new Rolls Royce because his Thursday one had the oil light come on. I don't see a dichotomy between, spiritual inheritance and material inheritance here. Rather, I see this verse in Proverbs as a meditation on how material wealth is a component of the spiritual inheritance that we leave, the foundation upon which future generations will stand. It is the material inheritance that equips our descendants with the tools to build upon our legacy. You see, I believe that God's design for us is not just that we survive, but that we thrive. To ensure that those who come after us are not starting from scratch, but are standing on the foundation we've laid. In the Yoruba tradition, Ache or Ashe is the spiritual force that empowers us to shape the world. Ashe is the power that moves through us, allowing us to influence and create. But here's the beauty of it. Ashe doesn't die with us. It flows beyond our lives through the legacy we leave through our actions, our wisdom, and yes, through the material resources we pass on. Today, I want to speak about how we, as a community of mostly African American men, descendants of those who were once enslaved, can extend our ashe into the future by building surplus and passing down freedom. As descendants of those who endured the horrors of chattel slavery, I think we're uniquely positioned to understand the value of freedom. My ancestors and yours were denied the right to own property, to build wealth, even to control their futures. Yet they fought not just for their freedom, but for ours. And today we're called upon to continue that fight. Not with chains or shackles, but by accumulating wealth that frees our children and their children from the burdens of poverty and limitation. The wealth we build today is not just about comfort. It's about, frankly, purchasing freedom for future generations. It's about ensuring that our children will not have to start from nothing, that they will have the freedom to choose their path in life without the weight of financial struggle. We can pass along freedom from hunger, freedom from insecurity, but I think more importantly, we can pass along the freedom to dream. I'm not, of course, talking about funding lives of leisure and pleasure for generations to come. It's about funding the possibility to find meaning in life without having that meaning having to be mediated by overwhelming pressure just to ensure survival. I am one who believes that it takes more than one generation to create a fully empowered poet, artist, diplomat, transformational political leader. Kendrick refers to the shade of the money tree. The prophet Micah in Micah 4:4, I think, is even more eloquent. Micah writes, "They will sit under their own vine and under their own fig tree, and no one will make them afraid, for the Lord Almighty has spoken." When we plant trees beneath which our lineage will find shade and safety, we are passing on something hugely important and even difficult to quantify. I remember a few years ago stumbling upon an article in the New York Times written by Harvard professor Henry Louis Gates that pointed at a connection between wealth and the long-term success of our people. Professor Gates highlighted this connection in a study of African American success stories from the present. He observed that a significant number of the successful African Americans today can trace their family history back to ancestors who owned their homes at the time of the 1920 census. Let me say that again. Dr. Gates saw a correlation between African Americans deemed successful today and those who could trace their family history back to ancestors who in the 1920 census owned the homes they lived in. Now, we're talking about a generation out of slavery. This was a rare achievement at a time when less than 25% of Black families owned any property at all. Owning a home during that era wasn't just about having a roof over one's head. It was about creating a foundation of stability, opportunity, and expectation. Gates noted that those families who owned property in 1920 were able to pass down something far more valuable than the buildings themselves or the land those buildings sat upon. They passed down potentially a culture of ownership, a legacy of financial expectation, security, and empowerment. Homeownership in 1920 meant control, meant autonomy, meant a stake in the future, all of which contributed to the long-term success of their descendants. It provided the material security that allowed families to invest in education, in businesses, and in future opportunities. Now think about it. How many of us, we in this wonderful community we're building together, are descendants of Black people who owned the buildings they lived in 1920? What might we have inherited from them beyond the quantifiable? If slavery rested on a foundation of insecurity, reinforced by a lack of decision-making ability enforced by calibrated torture, might freedom not also rest on the opposite, on security, on a feeling of security that can be passed down and not have to be earned in every generation? In ways less immediate but no less important, our labor is to buy our family's freedom. So I ask you today, brothers, sister, what kind of legacy are we building? Are we planting seeds that will provide more than shade for our time? Are we building a legacy of material wealth and spiritual wisdom that will extend our ashe into the future? This is not just about surviving, but thriving. It's about leaving an inheritance that ensures our children's children will stand tall, rooted in the wealth we have built, but also empowered by the ashe we have passed down. We are called, I believe, to accumulate wealth, not out of greed, but out of a deep sense of responsibility to our families, to our communities, to the generations yet to come. Let's plant trees today whose shade will protect and provide for our sons, our grandsons, all our people. For the good man leaves an inheritance, and that inheritance, both spiritual and material, extends our ashe, ensuring that our influence and power can continue to bless the world. Beloved siblings, hear now this affirmation of purpose and commitment. We stand here today as the inheritors of a great legacy and as the creators of an even greater one. We are the planters of trees whose shade we may never sit under, but whose branches will shelter our children and our children's children. We are the builders of wealth that extends beyond our years, providing freedom and opportunity for generations to come. We are the keepers of Ashe, the spiritual force that shapes the world. Our influence will ripple through time, touching lives yet unborn. Let us commit ourselves to building surplus in our lives, not for greed, but for the uplifting of our families and our people. We stand proudly on the shoulders of our ancestors, and we pledge to become the strong shoulders upon which our descendants will stand. We recognize that our worth is not measured solely by physical strength, but by the wisdom we impart, the love we share, and the prosperity we create to secure our people's future. Today, we recommit ourselves to being good men who leave an inheritance. We are the stewards of generational freedom, the architects of our people's destiny. We will use our talents, our resources, and our ashe to create a legacy that will echo through the ages. May our actions today plant seeds of hope. May our work create foundations of stability, and may our love nurture the dreams of those yet to come. We are more than our present. We are the bridge between our ancestors' sacrifices and our descendants' triumphs. In this sacred task of building generational wealth and freedom, we stand united, we stand committed, we stand empowered. If you affirm these commitments and dedicate yourselves to this sacred purpose, please signify by saying Amen, Ashe, and so it is.
Man, I'm Shay. And so
Man.
it is. So it is.
So it is, bro. Much appreciated. Thank you for putting the time into that, Jeff.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you much.
Happy to do so.
Man, And I'll pass it over to Tracy. He'll give us a beautiful meditation just to get us ready for our weekend.
Looks like Tracy audio.
Tracy, we can't hear you yet. While you're working that, I'll just go ahead and jump into a little seated meditation and a little action on my mat. If you jump in at any point in time, we'll be ready to do it. All right, taking a quick seat. Get comfortably on your mat. We'll take a second to reflect on the message of abundance as well as the message of buying our family's freedom. That's a lot to consider. Maybe slowly twisting to your right, twisting to your left, loosen up your back. We'll just walk the hands around. I think Robert's probably already warmed up over there. Long, deep breath into the belly. Just take 10 seconds to breathe slowly, slow it all down. All right, take in your right hand, reaching fall to the sky. Just try to get long through one side, keeping both sitting bones sitting comfortably on the mat. And we'll just reach over. Try not to lean, try to just let the work happen right through the rib cage. And any organic moves that feel good to you. And we'll try the other side. Maybe find some stillness when you're ready. Back to center. Take out the shoulders. Let's just roll right on over to our hands and knees. Turn your toes under. Stretch your arches. And while that's happening, I'm going to pump up the music and go a little bit of a different direction.
So I'm ready to go. I have my new mic.
All righty. Well, that's perfect. I will pass you the host. And we'll take our seats. Let's do it.
Alrighty, guys. So from toe stretch, we're stretching out our toes. Go ahead and just walk yourself back through hero's pose into a comfortable seated pose or a reclined on your back pose. So you're going to walk your hands in towards your knees. Go ahead and sweep your legs underneath you and then come into your comfortable meditative pose. You can recline onto your backs, or you can just find a comfortable seat. If you're in a chair, again, like I said, allow that chair to fully support you. And we're going to start today's meditation the same way we start every meditation, which is simply by bringing our awareness to our breathing. So sending your mind to the deep breath, drawing the air in to fill the lungs. Holding that breath for a moment at the top, and then allowing the exhale to be a little bit slower than your inhale, allowing the body to decompress, almost as if you were melting into the support beneath you. So feel your body surrender to your chair, surrender to your mat. A gentle reminder that we are always supported, that we are always safe to let go and find a moment of reflection and respite. Continue with your breathing. And if you notice that your mind is active, if you notice that it's a little challenging to focus on the breath, greet that experience with grace, with acceptance, trusting that it is part of the practice. And continue committing to your focus on the breath, redirecting the mind with every wandering. Begin to notice the stillness settling in to the body. Sending your awareness to the soles of your feet. And slowly guiding your attention upwards to the crown of your head at your own pace. Checking in with any spaces that may feel tense, that may feel reluctant to welcoming or submitting to rest. And if you find such a space, send a deep breath there to that place. And then continue your awareness upwards until you reach the crown of your head. And once you've reached the crown of your head, take a moment and sit with your thoughts. Becoming aware of whatever is present in the mind. Without attempting to quiet or stifle any thoughts, simply notice. And if you notice that a thought carries the mind down a rabbit hole, I encourage you, just as you did with the breath, to graciously guide your attention back to that space of neutrality. Today's meditation is going to be centered on thriving. What does it mean to live a life of thriving, of exceedingly and abundantly? Naturally, in a moment, that may be a challenge to describe beyond the surface. But today's meditation, we're going to dive a little bit deeper and explore what thriving feels like in the body. As you sit in your stillness, I'd like you to bring to mind what you may envision as your last day. This is your last day in this body, in this incarnation. Perhaps you are surrounded by family and loved ones. Perhaps you are in a moment of stillness. In this moment, it is clear that you are transitioning on to something greater, something beyond this physical vessel. And that sensation brings you a deep sense of peace and fulfillment as you are clear that you have left a positive impact on this world. You have emptied your cup of gifts, and you're expecting that well done on the other side. As you reflect back on your life, I'd like for you to bring to mind thoughts, commentary that affirm that you lived a thriving life. What are those closest to you honoring you for as you make your transition into something greater? Perhaps it's your humor, your ability to find grace and kindness no matter the circumstance. Perhaps it is your willingness to share resources. As you sit on the brink of transition, take a moment and take inventory of all of the good, all of the excess that you were able to pour into this world. And continue expounding and expanding on that thought as you breathe deeply into these affirmations. If you notice that fear or worry or doubt begins to arise, greet those sensations with kindness, with acceptance, and gently exhale them out of the body, returning back to the positive affirmations, the positive contributions, redirecting the focus. And now when you feel ready, with the deepest breath of the day, breathe a moment of life in to this visual experience, inhaling in through the nose, exhaling out of the mouth, making space for the opportunities for these affirmations to present themselves. And let's gently reawaken the body, wiggling the fingers, wiggling the toes, giving yourself a big good morning stretch, reaching the hands up high, lengthening through the legs. Keeping the eyelids heavy. If you are reclined onto your back, slowly guide yourself onto the right or left side into the fetal position. If you're seated in a chair, you can meet us with hands at heart center. Back in the fetal position, the first yoga pose we all ever learned. It represents a fresh start, a new beginning. And moving into this next portion of our practice today, a little bit differently than when we found it. I invite you to take a moment of gratitude, honor, reverence for whatever that fresh start represents for you. And when you feel ready, you can ease your way up into seated pose, and we will transition with hands at heart center. Gentlemen, thank you all so much for allowing me to share this practice with you. As always, it is a privilege. It is a pleasure. I hope that as you move into your movement, you do so with a sense of thriving, with a sense of vitality and a sense of confidence that whatever it is that you visualize that will be said, the good things, the kind things, the positive things are well on their way. The seeds have been planted. So as always, we end with a namaste. And I will see you guys all soon. Thank you so much. Have a great day, guys.
Thank you.
Talk soon. My pleasure.
Putting you first almost took me out.
That's a great place.
I was almost completely gone.
That's a great place to start.
I'm like, hang on, Willis. Hang on. Don't leave.
Okay.
Hey, take it easy. We'll talk.
Okay. Have a good one, guys.
All right. All right. I'm gonna have to pump the music up just a little bit because I just napped out. All right. All right, let's jump right back in. I'm gonna give myself 2 cameras. Anybody that's gonna hang out for me. That's 1 camera. All right. I'm gonna wake us back up. Let's just get right into some down dogs. Shake these legs out. And just walk it out however you want to walk it out. I'm gonna play for just a minute. And when you find some stillness, hold your down dog for a few seconds. Whew. Tracy took me down. Took me down. What do you guys think about the format of her going first? Curious, any thoughts?
Tougher.
It's tougher.
Yeah, I'm kind of calmed down now. I'm gonna.
But we'll take it easy. Drop those heels, and when you're ready, sweep the right leg up. Go to wherever you feel comfortable with it. And maybe walk the hands back a bit. And then open the knee. Gotta keep both hands firmly planted in the mat. Take the knee as high as you can to the ceiling. And if you have the ability to take your toes off the mat so that foot is planted, give it a shot. And level that foot. Shake it out. Other side, lift the left foot up. When you're ready, maybe open that knee. And I'm gonna play around a bit. How your body's feeling. And lower that leg. Just walk it all the way out to plank. Plank pose. Bones stacking, shoulders over elbows, elbows over wrist. Waking up the core for a second. Pull the mat east and west and really feel the shoulder blades open up. I brought these two foam pieces because I wanted you guys to kind of see if you got wrist stuff or weird stuff going on. These are fantastic. So I've got a little tendonitis in one of my wrists. Took a fall one day on my bike and it's just been bugging me. So let's go ahead and lower all the way to the mat. Elbows move back, tricep push-ups. Roll your shoulders back, open up the chest. See if you can relax the bottom. Relax the thighs. And relax, push down with the hands. Pull the elbows back, turn the toes under, press back the knees. And press back to your down dog. Move to the front of our mat. Up on the toes, bend the knees, look toward the fingertips. And just move slowly to the top of your mat. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Swan dive up. Exhale, prayer. And we'll take a second, play around with just a little bit of balance. Press the right foot firmly into the mat. Maybe grab the other ankle. Just get comfortable wherever you are with it. Playing with just kind of an opening. Set your gaze on something that's not moving and see can you just ground down through that standing foot. And if it's available, maybe you can place that leg right on that knee and sink on down into a hip open. Now this is also great if you have blocks. You can take a block or a pillow. You can find yourself here. You can kind of balance into what feels good to you and your legs, but keeping this support here will keep you from losing your balance or overworking your knee. Little hip open in action. And relax. Both feet on the floor. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Swan dive up. Prayer. And we'll play with the other side. Get a good grip with the other foot. Maybe grab the foot and just kind of move it around. And whenever you're ready, maybe sit it down into a seated hip opener or standing seated hip opener, where you're moving into that Utkatasana chair pose, like bend with your leg. Hinging at the hips, kind of pressing your chest toward the shin. And when you're ready, slowly, carefully come out of that. I'm gonna walk right to the top of the mat. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold, and just gently walk it out. The plank. Again, shoulders over elbows, elbows over wrists. Elbows move back all the way to the mat. And let's slowly press the up dog. Roll the shoulders back. Maybe take a gaze up toward the corner of the room, not necessarily the ceiling. A lot of times you see people press and they're looking way back here. It's not necessary. Keep the spine fairly straight as you look toward the corner of the room where the ceiling and wall meet. And exhale, down dog. All right, sweep the right foot up again. We're not gonna open the hip this time. Just want you to bend the knee, pull it toward the nose, take a step. Turn the toes out on that back foot 45 degrees, create that long warrior one base position. And let's sweep the arms up. In. See if you can continue to roll that back leg open and straight. Toes, every single one of them reaching the mat. And let's take the arms up again. Hands in prayer. And touchdown. Runner's lunge. Left toes or whatever's back, point it down. Press into the mat. Lift the foot off. And we'll move right back through Chaturanga Dandasana. Down. Up. Down. And sweep the left. Again, not opening the knee, just sweep it up. Bend the knee, pull it through. Left foot, thumb. Back toes, 45-degree angle out, and let's sink on in. Warrior one. Swiveling those hips forward. Straightening that back leg. And arms up. And hands in prayer. Touch down. Turn the right toes down, whichever is the back leg. Press into the mat. We're gonna take the foot to the back and just move right through Chaturanga again. Lower. Up. Down. Inhale up on the toes. Bend the knees. Look toward the fingertips and see how lightly you can get to the top of the mat. Inhale up. Exhale, fold. One dive up. Prayer. Let's just move right back through it. Inhale up. One. Inhale. Make your way out to plank. Chaturanga Dandasana. Press the Urdhva Mukha. Adho Mukha Savasana. Whenever you're ready, right feeling. So you can sweep it up, or you can just take it up with a little bend and hinge action, and then pull it through Warrior one. Open the two. Warrior two. Back foot, long leg parallel. That foot parallel to the back of the mat. Sink in. Let's see if you can get the shoulders right over the hip. Opening up that knee. Sink in. Now staring on the fingertips. Reach the fingertips back. Continue to turn the tailbone under and try to get long right through here, taking this part of the body up higher, maybe more bend in that knee. Gonna wrap the arm around if that helps. Sometimes use that hand to grab the thigh and open it just a little bit, keeping those lines good. Now standing up straight, right hand reaches toward the ceiling, maybe heel toe the back foot in. We're gonna tip over into triangle. So try to reach first, get the length, and then if you need a block, place it on the inside of the leg. We're gonna tip. We'll find ourselves here. And again, letting the elbow right under shoulder, wrist right under elbow, long, straight line as you start to maybe kind of play with opening. Maybe play with just the whole lubricating of the hip, shoulder. And once you've done 2 or 3 rotations and it feels pretty good, let's just take it all the way to the ceiling. But if you're in this position, see if you can look up toward the ceiling, see if you can continue to open the chest. You don't want to be here with everything turned down. You want to open it up. Continue to turn the tailbone under so you feel like you're still kind of being smashed between 2 pages of a book. And let's reach the fingertips all the way over. Cartwheel right into runner's lunge. Take a little breath, press into the mat. Take that foot off the mat and just meet the back. And you can go right to down dog or move to your chaturanga. So hinge in the elbow, protecting that shoulder girdle. So trust, yep, down dog. And let's do sweep, left foot up. Not opening the hip, take it high. Bend your knee and just thread the needle, pulling it through. Notice how close I'm trying to get it to my abdomen. You could mimic trying to kiss it, kiss the knee, plant left foot. And when you keep it tight, all the bands in the core just really act. And then sweep the hands up, warrior one. Continue to tuck the tailbone under as you sink in. And when you're ready, we open it too. Let the tailbone on, drop a little deeper. And stretch it out. Long breath. Again, shoulders over hips. Try not to be extended here or extended back. You're just floating right above. And when you're ready, sweep the fingertips. But notice, when I sweep, I'm trying to keep my frame. I'm trying to keep this lower half of my body stable. A lot of times you see people switching, they start moving. No. You want to keep this here. Your structure stays the same below. And we're just reaching over. Again, we're lifting with the rib cage up. There's a little more bend in the knee. And when you're ready, reach the fingertips up. Perhaps heel toe the back foot in a bit. And start your tip. Again, you grab your block, maybe place it inside the leg if that's what you want. Got a couple of different heights to work with, but reach first. And tip. And begin playing with maybe taking that elbow up, opening that shoulder and back. And when you're ready, see if you can take this entire part of your chest, turning it toward the ceiling, and then reach. And again, notice if your butt's sticking way out here. If it is, see if you can tuck it under, get more height, and then sink back in. And whenever you're ready, so take that fingertip all the way across slowly and find ourselves down into our runner's lunge. And when you're ready, press into the mat. Left foot moves to the back of the mat. And let's hang out in plank for just a second. Maybe take the feet as wide as the mat, hands as wide as the mat. And we're just gonna play with our balance. Right hand, left foot off the mat. Bit of an activity here that requires quite a bit of concentration. And we'll try the other side. Again, this works best if you bone stack, shoulder over elbow over wrist. Tighten up the core, flatten the butt, and reach with the fingertips and the heel. And set it down. Back in plank again. Move the feet a little closer together. And just press right to down dog. Arms probably a little tired. Spread the fingertips wide. And we'll take it. And in the interest of time, we're going to take it a little easy. Sweep the right foot up. Going to bend the knee and take that knee all the way to the elbow. Going to hover just a second, get some core work. Then may take that knee to the opposite elbow. And when you're ready, maybe set that knee down right next to the wrist and move into pigeon. Also a good place to set a block, something under that hip to give you a little height. And maybe you start on your elbows, maybe you start on your hands. But as you let the breath go, see if you can start to sink in and slowly find yourself. It's also a great time if you have a block to just maybe put it under your head and cool out. And you keep lowering it as you get comfortable. And when you're ready to maybe push out of that. And if it's in your comfort zone, maybe you'll pick that back leg up, your same side hand around, grab the foot with this little bit of support. Maybe you can stand it up and really stretch the quad. It's not an easy pose to get into. There are other ways to stretch your quad that are probably a lot simpler than this. And let's let it go. Now coming out of this, I like to, again, try to play with the core, but you don't have to. Turn your toes under, press into the hands, lift the knee as high as you can take it. Really press the knee into that tricep, and then let's walk it straight back. Drop that foot. We got the second side, sweep left foot up. Get the height. Bend the knee, move the knee toward the elbow. Really press, get some height. Maybe take it to the other side. Some height. And then maybe set it down. Left knee, left elbow. And see, can you find support that really works? So a pillow is nice. And whenever you're ready, maybe press out of it. If it's okay to bend that knee, you can grab a little something right there on the ankle or the top of the foot. And kick into that hand as well, but you don't have to. You can pull it, check in. Nice little spot right there. And when you're ready, let it go. Press into the mat again. If you want this core work, just pulling the knee up high. And kick it up. Shake it out back into down dog. We'll start to wind it down here. A little long meditation and whatnot, and I don't want to keep you. And then drop to your knees. And we'll swing your legs around. And if you want to slide back into your meditation, you start to stretch the legs long. Grab the feet, grab whatever's available. And slowly start to walk it back. back to the elbows. And back to the lower back. And slowly move it all the way down. Maybe let the back of the head relax. Now it's your house and do whatever you want. Maybe you want to do a few more twists, whatever you need. Get a little twist on my lower back, pulling my right knee into my shoulder. Move it around a little bit. And I'm going to twist. See if I can get that little lower back crack I like. Do your best if you're going to do this to try to keep whole body on the mat, whole back. A lot of that can be achieved if you take a block and just put it right under your knee. Set the knee down. Straighten this other leg real good. And see if you can get your back to rest down flat. I'm gonna come out of that carefully. And we'll try the other side.
What is that? I know you're holding back. Do you keep on track? Are you alone? Take control. Yeah, Dana, don't do that. I know you're bum bad. Let me touch on that. I want to know why you're so. The way you're playing with that wine, I feel like something coming on. Cause I know that you know what you're doing. I feel I need to cross the line. Yeah, what I'm feeling is so strong. Make me want to pursue, baby, do it again. Magic touch, give me the magic touch, yeah. I want you back it up, and me and give me the sweetest wine. Magic touch.
And I'm coming out of it carefully and take a minute just to chill out. And this is what we'll call it. It's been a couple minutes. I'm going to cut the cameras. You do your thing. We'll end on our back. And catch you up next week. Namaste, brothers.
Namaste.
Catch you next week.
Namaste. Thanks, man.
All good, brother.
Yeah.
Peace.